Let's talk about some basics about how an Australian saddle should fit for you and your horse. When you sit in an Australian saddle with your feet in the stirrups, there should be about 1/4 inch to 1 inch distance between the pulleys and your thighs. You should be able to slide your hand between your thighs and the pulley. It's a personal preference on exactly how close you are, but if you're too far away, you'll lose the advantage of the pulleys. The idea is that the pulleys should be close enough to come into play quickly when you need them, but far enough away so that your thighs do not rub on them as you're riding. Your legs should be at approximately the same angle as the pulleys in a sitting position. To see if your saddle fits, sit on the saddle in a balanced and level position. The part of the seat that your rear end sits on needs to be level. If the saddle is tilted forward, or if it is tilted backwards, your body will not be in the right position, and you may feel as though you're pitching forwards or backwards. As you sit in the saddle, you should be balanced, and your legs should be slightly forward. It makes a big difference trying your saddle on with the stirrups and stirrup leathers in place. The stirrups will help position your legs properly. Your thighs should follow the angle of the pulley with your legs slightly bent. You may need to shorten or lengthen your leathers to get the correct leg position. The Australian saddle sits forward on the horse's back like an English saddle, as opposed to further back like a Western saddle. A proper fitting saddle should sit level on the horse's back. It used to be that you would make sure that the pommel and cantle were level to determine proper fit. However, Australian saddle styles have changed some over the years, and with the addition of higher cantles for a deeper, more supportive seat, and horns on some models, this is no longer necessarily true. The real measure is the levelness of the seat, where your rear end sits. Once you've made sure that your seat is level, now make sure that you have at least 2 inches of clearance between the withers and the top of the gullet at the front of the saddle. The saddle should not be pressing on the horse's spine. The clearance should run anywhere between 2 and 4 inches. Here you can see that this horse has 3 inches of clearance. If your saddle seat is sloping down towards the horse's neck, then the saddle is too wide. This will cause your body weight to be placed too far forward on the horse's withers, causing the saddle to put pressure on the withers, or rub the horse. Signs of this might be that the wither will be tender to the touch, white hair patches may develop, or in especially bad cases, sores may develop. If you have a Kimberley or down under saddle, chances are we can adjust the saddle to be narrower for your horse. Another way to adjust for a wide saddle is to use extra padding in the wither area, so that the saddle pommel is elevated up to level out the seat. We sell a saddle pad called the Corrective Pad that is designed just for this problem. This pad has a pocket in the front that can be filled with a piece of wool felt to adjust the needed height. Now look at the clearance we've got on the saddle. If your saddle is sloping up towards the horse's neck, then the saddle may be too narrow. It's normal for a new saddle with a surge panel to slope a little bit. As the saddle breaks in, the stuffing in the panel will compress and level out. But if it is sloping upward significantly, then it may be too narrow. In addition to the hair rubbing in the wither area, signs of a saddle that is too narrow are a tender wither, sores on the wither, or the horse might feel pain towards the back of the saddle. If the saddle's too narrow, then when you sit in the saddle, most of your weight will be pushed back towards the rear of the saddle, causing problems for the horse. Generally, if the saddle is too narrow for a horse, you probably need a different saddle. After a ride, when you've taken the saddle off the horse, you should check for sweat distribution. Not all horses sweat the same, but in general you should see an even sweat distribution pattern on your horse from the saddle after you ride. The sweat distribution should be even all throughout where the saddle sits.